This game that I'm about to play with quite a famous-ish Go player from the States, aren't you, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm from California.
Yeah, and
I
he's
don't know if it's famous.
yeah, and he's got a Twitch account which I follow, and he's also known as
Streetplay.
Streetplay, yeah, and he's in my
Yeah.
Discord channel as well, and we're going to play a game on KGS, and he's going to whoop me because he's a 5 Dan and I'm a 6Q or something. But anyway, you get the idea. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll play for a few moves, and I guess I'll resign or something. Yeah.
I mean, it's however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just let me know when I should resign. And
I mean, okay.
so the idea of Go is to make territory and kill the other players' groups. So I'm just going to play a basic game as the famous YouTuber Dwyron, or Joss as known calls it, and I'll try and not be totally destroyed here.
Basic. Okay.
Well, I'll play basic. You
Well,
can play anything you want.
I'll play simply.
Guess I don't want you making a big massive group there, so mind you. I'm planning another Go video in the near future to do with what I'm going to do is I'm going to get eye tracking gear, and I'm going to play a game. I'm going to play a game of Go with the eye tracking gear on.
Okay.
And see what I'm doing when I'm playing the game.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's not been done before, I think.
I wonder what'll happen. I think I saw a video a long time ago where someone did that with Simigo, but I don't think I've seen it for a whole game.
Yeah. I can never remember the Josekis, man. It's the hardest thing is remembering all these Josekis.
Yeah, if you play them enough, it kind of gets easier. Oh. Did you mean to play there?
Is that the wrong move? Should I have played C5?
No, but, well, usually you play C6.
Oh,
But,
alright.
I mean, I don't know. That's why I asked.
Alright. C6, okay. See, what the trouble I do is I sometimes get confused with past other Josekis and then getting muddled up.
Okay.
So that is looking pretty big now, so I guess I should come and decisions. I think one of my problems is Dison says that I don't want to let my opponent get anything, and I seem to go into dangerous areas.
Judging by what you've been saying so far, that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
You're just trying to take away everything.
Yeah. Let's make a shape that Dison talks about a lot, this table shape.
Table shape is a little different. It's hard to compare it to this board. Well, that's a table shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I've got 2 corners, so that's a good start. But I've got a really weak group.
It's decently weak.
I guess I can just go into the center. Is that safe already? Difficult choice. I wonder. Well, I'm going to play safe.
That's interesting.
Well, I guess I don't know what I'm doing.
It's okay. Let's see. I'm gonna reinforce my group. That is definitely unexpected.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's okay. It's just unexpected.
What were you expecting?
Just block.
Oh, block. I was worried about the cut, though.
Well, I have to defend first, right? Because it's Atari. And then you could defend the cut.
Oh, I forgot about that.
If you were worried about it.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm thinking here. I'm like...
Okay.
Yeah. AlphaGo style.
I don't think AlphaGo's played this move.
Alright.
This is kind of an old move.
I don't even know the Joseki for this, but I'm just gonna pretend I know it.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about knowing Joseki in general.
Right, I've got a freedom of choice right now, so I need to think of what I'm going to do. The left looks big. My centre is all wide open, but All your groups seem to be strong. So what does Uncle Nikos do now? I reckon I just wanna play. What do I wanna play? Let's try this. I wonder if F3 has any agi, but I don't think it has much.
I mean, there's a. I don't know if I'd call it Aji, but you definitely have a little bit of potential there.
Yeah.
Just for endgame purposes.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know. I just don't know. I guess I could threaten to cut that group off. I'm going to be really dangerous and look at the score estimator, but it's blanked out. I get into so much trouble looking at it. I lose so many games by looking at the score estimator. I really do.
I wouldn't trust. Wait, how do you on KGS or on?
KGS.
Okay, I didn't know you could look at it while you're playing on KGS.
Yeah, you go to options, score estimator.
But it's usually, not available. Well, in any case, KGS score estimator is really not accurate at all.
No.
No. I definitely would not rely on it.
Okay. I don't want you to cut off that group, so I guess I want to play. I want to play either L7 or I want to play this one. Do I want to let you out? Do I want to let you out? Do I want to let you cut me? Do I care if you get out? I care if you get out. Do I care if you get out? Do I care if you get out? Well, I guess I do. But do I want to lose those two stones? Oh dear. If I go there, you're going to cut me there. I don't know. It's going to be one of those fighting in the middle games now.
Well, not if you play there.
And that grip still isn't safe. All right. So I've got one eye. And can you kill it? I think you could kill it with difficulty, but you're going to gain a lot of influence by chasing that group. But then again, I can easily make two eyes. So I think I'm just going to defend what I have. You can do that. I can do that. I'm going to go there. Oh. Empty triangle time, is it?
Empty triangle?
I'm just thinking how I want to play this move.
Okay.
I guess I don't want you coming in. Well, that's my center gone. Let's see if I can be... Let's see if I can do something here. I just don't see any potential at all in that center now. Uh, Empty triangle time, I guess. Yeah.
That's not an empty triangle.
It almost was.
Well,
Oh dear. If you go, okay, you go there, boom. I don't know. Are you winning yet? Do you think? Do you think?
yeah, I mean, I think I'm winning, but I don't know. Yeah, we could stop here if you want.
Yeah. I just don't know who's ahead or not. I think this this group here is like in trouble in the middle. That case 8 group.
Uh, 45. So I'd say black has around 54 points,
Uh-huh.
and white has 57 plus Comey, so like 7.5 points lead.
Yeah. I don't know.
And 1 capture, so 8.5. Yeah, and then there's the group, obviously.
Yeah. I don't know what you want to do. You think it's game over?
I think it'll be pretty hard for you to come back.
All right, I'll resign then.
Okay. Thanks for the game.
Yeah.
Did you have a part of the game you had a particular question about?
I don't know. I just when I'm playing someone stronger, I don't really know sometimes exactly what I'm doing wrong. Whereas an order the game with a similar ranked player, I think here I could have done better because immediately I'm having to run. Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually a couple things here. If you pass control, I can
Yeah.
show a bit. Well, so here normally this bottom side is quite difficult to come into because even though there's a lot of space, white's very strong on both sides. So there's 2 general methods you can invade, which normally you'd play like at A, or you can reduce, something like B. So if you're invading, you'd play here, and then you might make a group like this. Of course, white could choose a different way. And in this case, this is kind of a standard pattern. It depends a little bit on a ladder. The ladder is this ladder, so obviously this works for the ladder works for black. So black can play this way, and white would play like this. Right? Yeah. So then there's a couple ways, but Q3. Yeah, Q3 here. The reason is you don't want to cut here as black is that even though you get out, this is a false side, right? Yeah, yes, I'm talking about it. And the group has no base, so it's just a weak group. So that's why black normally Han is back at S3, and white has to figure out how best to handle the shape. So one of the ways is to play like this. And usually white gives up a bit and takes the outside or something.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you could just reduce. Because white's strong on both sides, those kind of invasion moves are difficult. So you could just make a group here, or like this would be normal too. And the idea is you're just trying to limit how much white can get.
Yeah, that feels more comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. But before all of this, well, okay, a couple things. One is the Joseki is here, mostly because you don't want to get pressed low on the left. So here, after I jump, you're fairly low. And white is very strong because it's a one-space jump.
Yeah.
But even before this, Sorry, KJS is lagging a bit. So the problem with this Joseki choice is that after you come into the corner, even if you play the correct Joseki, you have two stones that are both low, that are facing each other, which means the left side is actually very hard for you to develop, because if I just continue here, then this space in between is like black can't get more than maybe 15 points, but realistically like 5 to 10. And so like the white is getting much more on the bottom space, right? Like in terms of direction. So it's kind of inefficient for black to play that way. Another way of thinking about it is if you could change where C14 is on this board, you'd rather it be facing the top side. In common variation, white takes corner. I don't know. I don't know. Oh. Yeah, sometimes. Usually the result depends on the whole board. But anyway, for this left part, you'd rather have this facing the top, because after white's here, no, like the left side is not very valuable for either player, but having F17 face the top means that this space up here is covered better, right? So it's like more efficient for black to be facing that way. So like for all those reasons, probably, does this make sense, or is it kind of?
No, yeah, it does make sense, yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm cutting out. I don't know. Okay. But for all those reasons, it's difficult for black to take the corner there. So if you really didn't want me to get anything, you could just play on the bottom like a split.
Yeah. Trying to see what else that I felt like I'd done wrong.
Oh, okay.
So this is a mess here. Well.
Yeah. So Q10 is really problematic for a lot of reasons. Like, what do you think about my white group in the bottom right?
Yeah,
like,
super.
How do you judge?
Super strong.
Yeah. So Q10 is like approaching a strong group, which means that it's very easy for me to later go in and reduce or like attack it, basically.
I guess I had some vague idea of trying to connect 04 with Q10 and try and threaten your 07 group, but that was a fantasy.
Yeah, the 07 group is pretty strong. So it's not really like possible to attack it. Of course, like, so the problem that I'm talking about is I could just come in here, and even if you play something normal, the problem is you're going to, like, Q10 is isolated, right? So this is problematic.
Yeah, this is game over already, pretty much.
Sort of. But the reason I approached from this side is because I didn't want to... If you don't kick, right, you're not greedy, and you just back off, it's not possible for me to, like, I could attack this, but it's not super dangerous right away, right? So even though this way would lead to a good fight for me, in terms of direction, if you somehow get Sente to come back here, you could still, like, have a reasonable position.
Yeah.
So it's clearer for me just to reduce the top and say, you know, even though this is too close to my strength, it'll be still easy for me to come in here later, unless you get really strong.
Yeah.
Why not Hane?
I guess I'm just afraid of cutting points later on.
But I mean, I have to defend them, and you can defend. And there's not really too much that white can do in this kind of shape right away anyway. The problem with this one is that the territory loss is too big. Like, the corner is really big, and if you finish the shape, so there's two ways to do this. Probably this is the clearest. This stone is very strange.
Yeah.
And the territory loss is just big. But the alternative is to cut. And in this case, white would just connect and black defends. But here, yeah, you see the cutting point issue is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for all those reasons, it's better just to Hana. You can't really allow white to get that much territory, and also being able to Hana means like I have less eye space, and you have more eye space. So it actually makes your group stronger too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you help your group, which is good. And then I played here. I think like it's worth just blocking, even if you're going to defend.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you leave the possibility for me to use one of these Ataris in Sente later.
Yeah.
Which is pretty big. So yeah, and then here is kind of normal. It's possible to play this, but generally people like this is much more common and much simpler. Like you just take points and
much better. Yeah.
And back off, right?
I guess I'm just. I guess I'm just thinking like playing on the second line is like slow, so I've got like this vague idea. Don't play on the second line, kind of deal.
It's true that you generally don't want to play on the second line, but there's two kind of caveats to that. One is in this kind of case, it takes away the base of this group, right? It threatens to come under. So like, I make a group extension. You can still like come in later, or like if I'm under pressure somehow.
Yeah.
It removes the base possibility.
Yeah.
The other thing is in the corner, the second line is actually quite big. Just in general, like this move is almost 20 points, so it's pretty big.
All right.
Yeah. So when you play the push and then I extend, now my group is pretty safe because I got to come into the corner even just this little bit. It gives me enough room to make a base. That being said, you really should extend here next. It's kind of a vital point.
Yeah.
Right. So like, let's say I play elsewhere. You can just push and cut like this.
Oh yeah.
And then, right. So if I have to defend the double Atari, then you have a ladder. Which this is kind of a weird ladder. But it actually okay. So maybe
that works.
Well. It doesn't quite, but even if it doesn't, you can just defend here, and my group is locally dead.
Well, that's not a ladder, no? Does it go right through my black stones here?
Yeah, it kind of. So we could play it there.
This is a ladder, folks.
Yeah. The problem is when we get here. There's not actually a good way to go from here that stops me. So you have to avoid the 07 stone, which means you have to go this way.
Yeah.
But then it hits the.
Oh, there we go! Boom!
Yeah.
Kaboom!
Doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in any case, it'd still be a good result for you. The problem is, like, so this extension is decently big, but this is actually such a big point for control of the center.
Yeah.
Because it shortens the liberties here, so these are actually kind of tight, and which hurts the left a little bit. And the center is, like, you can't actually get there without getting cut. Like, you can haunt it, but then I can always push back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one of my weaknesses in my center game is that I'm not good enough at knowing where to block you from coming in the center.
Well, the center is generally difficult, like one of the more difficult parts of the game. I think the bigger problem in this game was the overall coordination of stones.
Yeah.
So, like, you made a group here, but it's actually not really doing much.
Yeah, it's doing nothing, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. So the problem is, at the end of this game, this group is going to make very little points, and you invest maybe already 7 stones in it to make not much, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of problematic.
Yeah. And the rest of the game is just a mess for me, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm basically just cutting, I'm just making.
You just systematically exposing every weakness in my shape.
Yeah, and just kind of poking everywhere, and yeah. So, I mean, direction-wise, the big thing is this one in the beginning. It's kind of problematic, but that's probably a little hard to see. I think in terms of dealing with the Moyo type of shape, you don't really have to even come in. You could just take a corner. It's not really that big a deal.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe this one is better, to be honest, but it's not that big a deal. Once it's big enough, but you already have invested in your own stuff, your own development, then coming in is not really quite so bad.
Yeah, that seems good, actually, yeah.
Right, so you could just play like this and make some shape. It's pretty simple. And then white would, then get the opportunity to come into the top, and it's a game. I think white's still a little better, mostly because there is still this imbalance on the left. But, you don't have to rush things. The fastest way to lose a game is just to make a group to attack.
If
everything is strong. So the fastest way to lose a game is playing like this, basically, where you make a weak group at the very beginning of the game.
All right.
Because that's something that, as white, I can hold that group hostage for most of the game.
Yeah.
Right. So, here, you really should just defend this group directly.
Yeah.
But even still, it still has some weaknesses that can be exploited.
I guess with this kind of game, I've invested so many stones that I'm forced to play a center game to just kind of make them do something, right? Even if I don't want to.
Yeah, I guess, but if you have a weak, it's like if you're building something and you're building a house, I guess is the one that people say a lot. If one of the walls of the house is really flimsy, you can't build the house, right? It's very likely to break or collapse.
Yeah.
So the same thing is if you're building the center with a weak group, it's very hard to actually take the center because we kind of saw that later in the game. Here. So after this shape has so many cutting points, the push here.
Yeah.
And here.
I'm just trying to do so many things at once. I'm just I don't want to get in my corner. I don't want you to attack my center. I'm just trying to do nothing right.
Right. Yeah. So you have to just take care of them one at a time. So here, I think it's probably better. Let's go back a sec. So well, first of all, this is just fundamentally problematic. Because you're reducing your own liberties when you push up like this.
Yeah.
And that gives me more leverage.
I guess yeah. Mm-hmm. I played Q7 and I thought, okay, I need to make that stone stronger, so I'll just make it bigger. But in the end, it just didn't really help.
Yeah. When you're short on liberties, you're hurting yourself. It's very rare to have a stone that's short on liberties be helpful unless you're sacrificing it. But this kind of shape, there's no way, there's no incentive for white to take these because white's already strong.
Yeah.
So can't be a sacrifice. But so going back a little bit, if you don't do that at all and just help your center group, then you don't have to worry as much about these weak points here because they haven't. You don't have to worry about these stones that you played. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I should have shored up the center and then leaned on your top group somehow or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still a hard game here.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, I think actually because like if I just play this here, I think it's basically game over.
Yeah.
But it's a much more like it would be the proper way to play is to take care of yourself first.
All right. Well, thanks very much for that help there, and I'm sure all my YouTube audience that are programmers are wondering what on earth this game is. I didn't bother doing an introduction. I'm just like, okay, boom, straight into a complicated game. But
yeah,
the result of this game was no surprise because I'm playing against one of the not the strongest US player, but one of the top 1,000 US players or 100. I don't know what your ranking is over there.
Probably it depends who you're including.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of strong players who are not active in tournaments.
Yeah.
Or other things. There's actually one other thing I wanted to mention that you said at the beginning when you're introducing Go.
Yeah.
You're talking about it as a game of territory and killing stones.
Yeah.
And that's true, but it might be useful to think of it as a game of controlling space.
Yeah.
In a more general sense. Just because for the way you're playing, since you're focusing on stones and territory, I think that's maybe part of the reason you play these early invasion type of moves.
Yeah.
Like approaches. If you just think about it in terms of general space, right? White has some space here, but you're mapping out quite a lot of space up here too, right? So White can't really just keep building if you're gonna take another huge point.
Yeah. I guess I panic when I see my opponent getting anything. It's like, you can't get that. I want to go and march their troops.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, for a super over-the-top example, right? You're not going to come here and be like, oh, I'm not taking that away. And then you're not going to be like, oh, well, I'm taking that away, right? And then they play here, you're not going to say, hey, you can't get that, right? It's like, if they play, at a steady pace, you're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
So obviously this is overly exaggerated, but it's the same idea. Yeah.
The thing about Go is that I find that it exposes your weaknesses very easily. It doesn't. As a game, it doesn't let you away with anything, especially if you're playing a much stronger player.
I mean, I think in anything, if you're playing a much stronger player, the weaknesses become more apparent. But I think as you get stronger, I think it does get harder to notice what the mistakes are. That's actually kind of the problem with AlphaGo. A lot of the pros, when they're playing AlphaGo, had a hard time figuring out what they were doing wrong until they spent a lot of time to review it.
AlphaGo, for anyone that doesn't know, is Google's bot that defeated the best players in the world, and yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that was really great, and I will be. I'll let you know once I make my eye tracking video. And
okay, yeah, I'll look forward to that. Sounds interesting.
All right. Well, thanks guys for watching, and we'll definitely keep following Tyler's videos on Twitch and stuff. So, see you guys, and that's a wrap.